What's up, guys? Thank you again for joining me for bobK0T0R's Gaming News. Now, I know I've been gone for a little while. I got sick. I had a lot of work to do. 4th of July came around. I bought a dresser. So many things happened that kept me from you, but no more. I'm here now, and a lot's happened since I've been gone. So I'm going to do my best to cover everything, or at least most of everything that's happened while I was away. And getting right down to business, Don Mattrick, the face of all things Xbox 360, Xbox One, and basically Xbox in general, has left Xbox and went on to greener pastures with Zynga. Now, you might remember Zynga as the company who exploded with Facebook games such as Farmville, Mafia Wars, Frontierville, so on and so forth. And since nowadays those games aren't nearly as popular as they once were, Zynga's stock and funds and basically everything about the company has plummeted swiftly. So Don Mattrick, within the past week, has decided that he's leaving Microsoft and joining up with Zynga. His first day with Zynga is actually today. So hopefully they'll be able to turn themselves around, although I'm pretty sure that ship is pretty sunk at this point, but we'll have to wait and see. Don Mattrick did revolutionize Xbox Live, bringing it from 6 million subscribers with the original Xbox to over 60 million, so got to look at it from that perspective. He can turn a company around, but we'll just have to see how long this one takes. And keeping on the subject of Xbox, Microsoft recently dropped one of its bigger policies regarding patching on Xbox Live. Now, bear with me for a moment as you think about every single day you log on to Xbox Live, you put in your favorite game, or you upload your Xbox Live Arcade game that you love to play, and there's always maybe a patch for it, maybe some balance changes, a couple of bug fixes. They never really give you any patch notes for Xbox Live Arcade or anything like that, so you never really know what they're doing. Those individual patches, Microsoft charges tens of thousands of dollars to just put that patch online for people to download and fix their game. Now, Microsoft is now dropping this policy. For Xbox 360 at least, you no longer have to pay tens of thousands of dollars as a developer or publisher to get this done. Now, admittedly, for the bigger developers or publishers like EA, Activision, Ubisoft, Konami, all these other giant names, the fee up front wasn't necessarily as much of a big deal, as again, they're a huge company. They have enough to deal with this sort of thing. But when it comes down to like your Xbox Live Arcade companies or your indie developers, they don't have that sort of money to be fronting for a patch for their game. So that's why, they take their time and do their best to get it done, but nothing's perfect. The greatest example of this would have been Fez, that was released last year on Xbox Live Arcade, where it actually had a fatal save game glitch where once you get to a certain point in the game, it would actually delete your saved data and you have to start all the way from the beginning. Now, obviously, this was not on purpose, and because of this, the developer, the creator of the game, Phil Fish, had actually gone online on Twitter and told everybody that they would love to fix it, but they don't have the money. They can't pay Microsoft enough money to get this patch out there for the fans. So many people stopped playing Fez entirely in fear of their game being completely wiped. So now that Microsoft has dropped it, the developers of Fez have announced that they will in fact now be pushing this patch out so Fez can be fixed, so people can finish playing their games and not have to worry about the saved games being destroyed. But that brings up a better question in my book. Will Microsoft continue to not charge for patching and things like that when the Xbox One comes out? I guess we'll find out in November. And keeping with the trend of Xbox news, I now bring you more from Xbox One's Xbox Live. Microsoft went into a bit more detail involving the reputation system that they plan on bringing to Xbox Live, saying that it'll be just as easily viewable as your normal gamer score. Now, the whole point of the reputation system is to have good players or good participants playing with good players and good participants, and the people that you hate playing on Xbox Live with playing with those same people who you hate playing on Xbox Live with. Almost as a lesson to make sure that the good players stay good and the bad players want to get good. But now, this has been attempted in many other different forms of gaming. Even League of Legends Tribunal is a great example of players in the active community judging people who are bad. But that hasn't stopped the community in that from being toxic. How will this stop the reputation of Xbox Live players being toxic? I don't think it will. With the anonymity of the internet, it's going to be very difficult for anyone to stop being a bad person. And now Microsoft's gone on to say that they're going to give people opportunities to boost their reputation even farther up so they don't have to play with these bad people. But yet, what happens when the bad people boost their reputation back up again? So now they're playing with the good people. There's always a way for you to climb back up into the good reputation. That's the point of the idea. They want you to get better. But what's stopping that person who climbed back from bad to being good to just being bad again? I think this will just end up being a lesson in futility, and then about a year and a half after Xbox One's been out, they won't even focus on the reputation system. That's just my opinion. Hopefully I'm wrong, because I'd love to see a step in the right direction for online communities, but I'm a bit of a realist when it comes to this. And shifting gears from Microsoft over to Nintendo and domain names, Nintendo has been denied in their claim to reclaim the WiiU.com domain name from the World Intellectual Property Organization, stating that the WiiU.com website has been around since before the Wii was even released. So this has been around for a while. Admittedly, nothing's really been done with the website. It's been sitting there. The website's actually up for auction already. It has been since February, so one must assume that the guy who now owns WiiU.com is going to end up being in a pretty big payday when Nintendo has to buy the name for that website from him. So, good on you, WiiU.com, man. And now we move on into indie games, specifically Tim Schafer and DoubleFine's Broken Age. Now, if you don't remember, this is the game that was on Kickstarter that had asked for a mere $400,000 and had broke Kickstarter records when it cracked $3 million. Now, the reason why I bring this up today is they're now asking for more money, as once they started hitting millions in the Kickstarter process, the ideas started really flowing for this game. They wanted to put so much more effort and so much more content into this game, which is all well and good, but restraint never really came into process. So now they're running out of funding, as the game should have been completed, at least with the funding that they had. So now their idea is that they're going to put the first half of the game on Steam Early Access, which from what I can tell, the backers of the game will still be getting for free, considering they already paid for this. But people like myself and you can go on Steam and just buy the first half of Broken Age, play it, and now Double Fine will use the money received from that funding to fund the second half of Broken Age. Now, I can't help but feel for the backers who were already putting money into this, especially cracking $3 million. Some Kickstarters would be super happy to just achieve their small $10,000 goals, and this broke $3 million, and they couldn't do it. Now, this just brings into question, how much more do they need for the second half? This also brings into question Double Fine's other game that they went through on Kickstarter, Massive Chalice, which they had asked for $725,000, which that had cracked $1,229,000. Does that mean that game's also going to need more money now? I guess we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully Tim Schafer and company come out with this sooner rather than later. I mean, it is Tim Schafer and Double Fine. I don't really think the game's going to be bad. It's going to be a cult classic just like all of his games are. But regardless, it's still kind of a murky situation that hopefully they end up looking better for in the end. But just like most of the stories here, we'll just have to wait and see. And for my final bit of news, talking about the Deus Ex franchise, in particular their newest iteration, Deus Ex The Fall. Now, if you're a fan of Deus Ex Human Revolution, you probably are already aware of this game, as it was rumored that this was going to be the next full console release game. And it's not. It is a iOS title coming out on iPad 2 and above, iPhone 4S and above, and iPod Touch 5 and above, which was much to the ire of almost the entire fan base from what I've seen. Now, admittedly, a lot of people will end up liking this game. It looks like a very intelligent game for the iOS, but it's a $6.99 release, which is about $6 more than most iOS games. Now, you're also having the fact that it's a shooter, a first-person shooter with third-person actions on an iOS screen. So you're, especially on an iPhone or an iPod Touch, you're dealing with a very small screen for a lot of complicated actions. I can't help but feel that this will end up becoming another Mass Effect Infiltration. Now, I mean, people bought the game because of the name of the franchise, but the game ended up being not nearly up to hype. Now, this game comes out on Thursday. They had announced that release date a couple days ago, so hopefully it meets up to the standards that people have, or actually I should say meets above the standards that people have set for it already, with the game not even being out. But we'll have to wait and see. Again, it releases on Thursday for $6.99 on a lot of the more newer high-end iOS devices. And that's all the time I got for this episode, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and sorry about my absence over the past week, but I am back now giving you the news as quickly and as effectively as I can. But thank you again for watching, and have a great night.